The operation is over. The patient lived and is healing. The prognosis is that the patient will be far stronger, bigger, better, and more resilient than ever before. Make America great again. With that single tweet, Donald Trump reignited the economic debate that has defined his political movement from day one. Tariffs as surgery, not policy. America as a patient, not just a country. The message was simple, bold, and unmistakably Trumpian. Tariffs weren't a misstep. They were a necessary operation. The pain was real. But now he claims the worst is behind us. So let's unpack what he means by the operation, what the patient actually looks like post-surgery, and why this framing is not just rhetoric. It's a roadmap for the 2024 election and beyond. The operation, a strategic economic intervention. Trump's use of the term operation is no accident. In medicine, an operation is painful. It requires downtime. It may cause fear or controversy, but it's a deliberate act of harm to achieve healing. That's exactly how Trump's trade and tariff strategy has always been positioned. In 2018, he imposed sweeping tariffs on Chinese goods. Steel and aluminum imports were hit with duties to protect domestic production. Additional tariffs were levied against Mexico, Canada, and the European Union. Critics screamed. Economists panicked. Media headlines warned of a trade war apocalypse. But Trump saw it differently. Short-term pain for long-term strength. The patient, America's economic foundations. If tariffs were the operation, then who's the patient? Trump makes it clear, the patient is America itself. Its manufacturing base, hollowed out by decades of offshoring. Its middle class, gutted by wage stagnation and factory closures. Its supply chains, exposed as brittle and foreign dependent. The economic orthodoxy of the 1990s and early 2000s, globalization, NAFTA, WTO integration, promised a new era of prosperity. Instead, it delivered rust belts, opioid epidemics, and financial precarity. Trump's tariffs weren't random. They were an attempt to shock the system back to life. And now he's saying it worked. Signs of healing, post-tariff resilience. So, what's the evidence that the patient lived? That America is actually stronger? Let's look at key data points from the post-tariff era. Manufacturing jobs rebounded. Between 2017 and 2019, before COVID-19 disruptions, America added over 500,000 manufacturing jobs. Sectors like steel, auto parts, and electronics saw renewed investment. Domestic steel production rose. Tariffs incentivized the reopening and modernization of steel mills in states like Pennsylvania and Ohio. China trade deficits slowed. The U.S. trade deficit with China declined for the first time in a decade during Trump's tenure. New supply chain realignments began. Companies began reshoring production or moving supply chains out of China into Vietnam, India, and the U.S. itself. National security awareness increased. COVID-19 exposed dangerous dependencies, especially in pharmaceuticals and semiconductors, confirming what Trump had warned for years. These aren't small wins. These are structural corrections in a system that was left to rot. And they weren't free. They were bought with political capital, global backlash, and temporary price increases. But Trump's message is, it was worth it. The prognosis, bigger, better, stronger. Trump says the prognosis is good. That America is healing, rebuilding, reindustrializing. He's framing his economic legacy not as a series of isolated policies, but as a cohesive, surgical effort to restore national vitality. The themes are clear. Sovereignty over interdependence, production over consumption, resilience over fragility. This isn't just about tariffs anymore. It's about energy independence. It's about technological leadership. It's about becoming a net exporter of power, economically, militarily, and culturally. And Trump is making the case that the recovery has already begun. Not under Biden. Not under globalists. But under his America First doctrine. The media misdiagnosis. The media ridiculed tariffs. They called them backward, inflationary, and self-defeating. They paraded out Harvard economists and Wall Street CEOs to condemn the policy. But none of those voices had an answer for why America couldn't produce its own antibiotics, why we rely on Taiwan for semiconductors, why American workers haven't had real wage growth since 1973. Trump didn't just call out the sickness, he cut into it. And now that the pain is receding, even his critics are quietly adopting his playbook. The Biden administration has kept most Trump-era tariffs intact, launched Buy American procurement mandates, subsidized domestic chip manufacturing through the CHIPS Act. Trump's policies weren't a detour. They were a preview. The rhetoric of resurrection. Let's talk messaging. Trump isn't saying, "I told you so." He's saying something more powerful. You're alive because of what I did. You're healing. And you're going to be stronger than ever. That's not just a campaign line. It's a meta-narrative. It's populist. It's surgical. It's messianic. Trump positions himself as the surgeon who made the tough cut, while others would have let the patient die slowly of gangrene. The contrast is sharp. Trump, short-term pain, long-term strength. Globalists, short-term comfort, long-term decay. This is how movements sustain momentum, by turning disruption into vindication. What's next? Economic nationalism 2.0. If Trump returns to office, expect the operation to evolve into Phase 2. Expanded tariffs on all imports. Not just China. A universal baseline tariff to level the global playing field. Strategic industry rebuilding. Incentives for U.S.-based production in defense, energy, pharmaceuticals, and microchips. Currency war preparedness. Policies to defend the U.S. dollar's dominance and combat global de-dollarization efforts. Labor-centric tax policy. Potential tax breaks for companies that hire and train American workers over automation or outsourcing. Geoeconomic warfare. Using tariffs, sanctions, and trade leverage as tools of statecraft, not just spreadsheets. This is no longer just protectionism. It's strategic nationalism. And it's gaining traction worldwide, from India to Hungary to Italy. Final thought. The patient lived. That's the message. Tariffs weren't the end. They were the beginning. A bold incision into an infected system. A declaration that American weakness was not destiny. It was a choice. And Trump's promise is clear. The choice is yours. You can go back to the old rules, or you can embrace the pain that leads to healing. The bandages are coming off. The patient is walking again. Now the question is, who gets to finish the recovery? Trump says it's him. Because this isn't just policy. This is surgery. And the next election? It's the rehab phase. What do you think? Did tariffs work? Is America stronger today because of them? Are we ready for the next phase of economic healing? Like, subscribe, share this before the media spins the diagnosis again. Because America is healing, and Trump says the operation is just the beginning.